a music and society channel. Music, social science, art. Didn't you know a better world is possible?
Hello, this is the second part of my video on the Community World Theater and the summer of 1988. Thanks for checking it out, and let's get right into it.
The police and some of the club neighbors think the problem is not punk rock, but the punk rockers, the ones who they say are causing trouble.
There were two shows left at this point in my story, the Vandals and the Circle Jerks. And the Vandals, if you're not familiar with them, they're kind of like a juvenile sophomore tongue-in-cheek kind of band. The Vandals have this song called Anarchy Burger. They're not taking anarchy very seriously, and like I had mentioned in the previous video, I had written an essay on the political philosophy of anarchism in Billings, Montana. And so let's check them out real quick. One of the ways that me and Yari really connected was we were both really interested in political thought and political ideas, and anarchy in particular, because it was so around the punk rock culture, just the idea, or, you know, you see punk rockers wearing an anarchy symbol on the back. Anarchy is not going into a deli and urinating on cheese, obviously. So I wanted to include here, because it seems an apt moment to, some people discussing what anarchy actually is for some people. Now, I don't consider myself an anarchist at all, because I don't think I trust people enough to self-govern, but that's another story. I do think that the idea is interesting, and there's a lot of, I think, important ideas about society that are embedded in anarchist philosophy. So this first person is Noam Chomsky.
Well, let's think that anarchism is bomb-throwing mayhem. What is it that attracts you to anarchism?
Anarchism has nothing to do with bomb-throwing mayhem. It's anarchism is a point of view which, first of all, it covers a lot of things. You know, political rhetoric is not the clearest. It's not a model of clarity, and anarchism has covered quite a lot of ground. But the mainstream of it has just been the basic principle, which I think comes straight out of classical liberalism and the Enlightenment, that any form of authority and domination has a burden of proof to bear. It has to demonstrate that it's legitimate. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's inside a family or in the global economy. If it is a form of authority and domination and coercion, it has to show that it's legitimate. If it can demonstrate it's legitimate, it's a heavy burden to bear. If it shows that it's legitimate, okay. If not, it ought to be dismantled. That's anarchism.
This next person is named Emma Goldman, and when I just went back to college, when I was like turning 29 or 30, I went to college late. I took a philosophy class and I wrote an essay about her. So here's a little bit about Emma Goldman and what she thought.
Emma Goldman was perhaps the best known of the many immigrant anarchists who had come from countries all over Europe. Italians, Russians, Germans, and Spaniards had been converted to the ideas of anarchism.
The immigrant anarchists envisioned a world without leaders, a system of mutual aid made up of interlocking federations and communes. The anarchists hoped their persistent educational efforts would pay off when the working classes would spontaneously rise up and overthrow their oppressors.
Punk rock, there's a lot of subgenres. One of them is Anarcho-Punk, and one of the most influential bands in that subgenre is a band named Crass, and my friend Yari is the one who introduced me to them, and also Conflict, another band. So here's Penny. He is one of the members of Crass, and his thoughts about what anarchy means.
We were intervening on something which we saw as just a sort of hedonistic wank. And although it's a slight misrepresentation of Leyden's No Future, You know, we, as the people we were, absolutely would not accept there was no future. You know, the future is ours to make, and that's what we went out to say. And the future is not ours to make by sort of get, piss, destroy. The future was a positive one, and we were going to create a positive one.
And one more quick person, there's a band from California called Dead Kennedys, and Jello Biafra is the singer. And so here's a short statement he has to say about why his band is relevant to the ideas of anarchism.
We fit into this film because we, in our own way, are trying to break down rules, like be them not just written laws, but mental laws, social mores, and American attitudes that have slowly turned this into one of the greediest countries in the world.
So anyway, there's a few voices on anarchism there, and if anything, I think anarchism is really interesting. There's some ideas there that I think are very interesting to talk about, and I just wanted to put it out there that anarchy is not this juvenile sophomore thing. It's actually a well thought out philosophy about how to organize your life. So with that being said, the last thing Jello said was greed, and so I wanted to share a song I wrote several years ago about the same topic, just a snippet of it. So here's a snippet of a song I wrote called Because of Greed.
Here's to the workers who don't have no jobs. Here's to the people looked down on by snobs. Here's to the prisoners just back on the street. Here's to the homeless, no shoes on your feet. Here's to the mothers, who can't pay the bills. And here's to the young ones, Here is a message, when I've been beat down, when I've been down in despair. Lift up your head and look forward. Bring your eyes to the sky and breathe. Shake the weight of the world off your shoulders, 'cause you don't deserve these things. It's all because of greed.
And I wouldn't feel right about it if I didn't include some little snippet of Crass in here. So here is a song